Hi, my name is Julie Stevens. I'm a sergeant with Montgomery County Sheriff's Office Sex Offender Unit. The actual name of the unit is SORN, which stands for Sex Offender Registration and Notification. And the purpose of the SORN program is to alert the community as to sexual offenders, people who have been adjudicated by a court of law as a sexual offender, someone who's committed a sex crime, whether it's against an adult or a child. We're here to notify the community that that person is in their area. And we do that through several different ways. And the most important one is our website. You can easily find our website at www.mcohio.org/sheriff. Or you can just Google Sheriff Phil Plummer and you'll come right to the website. The website allows you to check for sex offenders in your area by name, by zip code, by school zone, and by address. So you can put in your address and find out if there are any sex offenders around your location, anywhere up to a mile. Of course, you do kind of want to rein it in a little bit, maybe keep it up to about a quarter of a mile to a half of a mile, so you can see who's in your neighborhood. You can also register for our automatic alerts. A lot of people think that every sex offender has postcards sent out so that you're notified immediately that a sex offender is coming into your area. But those postcards are only reserved for the most serious offenses, or the most serious offenders: predators, habitual sex offenders, and those who are convicted of an aggravated sexually oriented offense. So if you want to be aware in real time that a sex offender has moved into your zip code, your area, you just go onto that website that I told you about, you sign up for the alert, and as soon as we get them registered, an alert will pop up on whatever device you've put that in for. So that's very helpful. You can also go to the National Department of Justice sex offender search, and you can see nationwide where sex offenders are. The purpose, again, like I said, it's to alert people so that they can make wise choices about who they allow to befriend them, who they allow to come into their life. You know, we'll get calls every day from people saying, hey, this sex offender's sitting on his porch. Well, unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about that, but you can make the choice whether or not you want to warn your children, hey, this is someone you don't want to befriend. You know, you can be polite and courteous, but we're not going to invite this person into our household. You need to make the wise choices for your children and for your safety. The website will usually include victim information. However, just because a person has committed an offense against an adult previously doesn't mean that an adult's always going to be their victim. So you have to be very careful for grooming behavior. If someone is especially friendly with your child, that really doesn't have any reason to be, the kindly neighbor who always wants to interact with your child, you really need to take a look at that. And I'm not saying that all people are bad, certainly not everyone that we come into contact is with, but you do need to make wise choices for your family, because once you've made the wrong choice, the effects can be devastating. The Sex Offender Act went into law in 1997. It was Megan's Law back then, where sex offenders are labeled as predators, sexually oriented offenders, or habitual offenders. That changed in 2008 when we started the tier system. So what was a predator before is now a tier 3. What was a habitual before is now a tier 2. And what was just a sexually oriented offender is now a tier 1. You will not see juvenile sex offenders on our website. That is not allowed by the Supreme Court of Ohio. Also, the most common question we get is about sex offenders living near schools. Now, technically the law is that a sex offender cannot live within 1,000 feet of a school zone, preschool, or daycare. But there are two caveats to that. And one is if their offense was committed prior to July 31st, 2003, they have no restrictions because that law wasn't in place at that time. So if a person committed their act in 1999, they could live right next door to a school, and there's really nothing we can do about that. Also, if a person committed their act prior to July 1st, 2007, they have no restrictions about living near preschools or daycares. We do alert, again, with our website, the preschools, the daycares, the school, that they have these folks in the area so they can take the precautions, but we cannot stop them from living there if their offenses were committed before those time periods. Also, it is a civil injunction if a person is living too close to a school, preschool, or daycare. We send that to the prosecutor and they have to do formal eviction proceedings. It's not something where we can go out and arrest them. We do our job based on tips from the community. We check on the offenders when they come in to register, whether it's every year, every 90 days, every 6 months. But what really helps us is if you see something that you think is wrong, or you see a sex offender on the website living on Smith Street and you know he lives on Jones Street, you really need to submit that tip, because that's the only way we can keep this website accurate and keep the information accurate for public safety. It's what we rely on. And if you have any questions at any time, all you need to do is contact the Sex Offender Unit at 224-3995, and you will get me directly, and I'll be glad to help you with anything that you need. Thank you.